reviews, discussions, and theories about films in horror, sci-fi, and genre. This is The Horror Deconstruction. Like, share, and subscribe to hear more.
What's up, everybody? It's The Horror Deconstruction. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, most likely on YouTube. Give us a like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell icon. Hit that thumbs up. Let people know that you listen to the show. 31 Days of Horror for this October and Halloween with your host Comp, and today's film is The Final Girls, 2015. A young woman grieving the loss of her mother, a famous scream queen from the 1980s, finds herself pulled into the world of her mom's most famous role. That movie. Reunited, the woman must fight off the film's maniacal killer. Directed by Todd Strauss Schulson. Written by M.A. Fortin, Joshua John Miller. Starring Taissa Farmiga. I've seen the girl in a bunch of things, so I don't know why I'm mispronouncing her name. Malin Ackerman and Adam Devine. So this is a movie that I saw a while back. If you just heard our review for Final Girl, this is the other Final Girls movie that came out. This is The Final Girls, and I think it's just about to get like cult status, which it should. I wish it had done a lot more, but it seems people only want a certain type of horror movie. They don't want horror comedy for the most part, which sucks. Even though there's a bunch of them that are good, including Tucker and Dale versus Evil and stuff like that. But anyway, Idle Hands, etc. So something I didn't point out in The Final Girl, the review, is that it actually shares the same actor in both of them, playing different characters. Alexander Ludwig, who was in Final Girl as the main antagonist, is also in this movie. So he's in two movies which came out the same year, called with the word Final Girl in it, which is interesting. I wonder if he had fun with them, because both films made no money and went nowhere, unfortunately. But this film is a very good movie. It's very entertaining, very well made, and I hope more people learn more about this film. I'm just not going to spoil this movie, but I hope more people read more about, actually just go watch the film and support the director and let people know that this is actually a really cool film. So Taissa Farmiga, I don't know why I'm putting an N there, but she is obviously the young niece of Vera Farmiga, or sister? No, that's her sister, excuse me. That's her sister, who's from the Conjuring films, and then she also made her way, I believe, into the Conjuring films herself, because it helps to have a famous niece. But she's also a very good actor. If she's seen the first season of American Horror Story, Taissa was really good in that. And this movie stars, obviously, Malin Ackerman, who's a really, really good actor, who is, for some reason, she's always playing like side roles. You never see her as a lead for some reason. I think one of the biggest things that she came out first was in what the hell was that White Castle movie? Goes to White Castle, the two guys. Yeah, so she came out but that was big because she was naked in that movie. But anyway, regardless, she's actually a pretty good actor. She was in Watchmen. That's where she is. She was in Watchmen. She was very good in Watchmen. Unfortunately, part of the most boring part of the Watchmen film, her and Night Owl character. But she was interesting, at least. This also stars Adam Devine, if you knew him from Workaholics, and he was also in Modern Family, sort of part of the Workaholics crew. I forgot the name of the comedy act that they're in. Thomas Middleditch, who is in the I forget the name of that show, but it was made by the guy who did Beavis and Butthead, Mike Judge's show about office work and the computer world. And I heard it's very highbrow, very funny, very good. It was on for a while, but then he got into a little bit of trouble because he made some sort of statement where he like talks about putting his wife into threesomes because it makes him happy. So some people just did not like that, but he's still working. He kind of skated through that, but I'm sure he was from Silicon Valley. That's it. But it's movies, so I guess you don't have to pay attention to that shit. That's what it is. You're supposed to escape the bizarreness of people's real life shenanigans, which is fine. Into threesome's good, but it's just funny. It was just a funny story that this guy, because if I'm sure that's a dream of many men and women. But back to The Final Girls. This movie is just really well done, and it is funny. It does have that schmarmy sort of comedy feel to it. But let's just get to the beginning of this film. So Taissa Farmiga plays Max Cartwright. Her mother was Nancy, who used to star in who was in a big slasher film. And it starts out with them driving, and I remember very much the point of the song Betty Davis Eyes plays throughout this whole film a lot. And she loses her mother in a car accident. And, many years later, she's very disaffected. She feels very guilty for her mother's passing. She has no sort of direction in life. And she just has her group of friends. and her boyfriend and stuff like that. Also, Nina Dobrev is in this. She was in The Vampire Diaries. Leah Shawkat, obviously she was in. I always mistake her for that other actress, but Leah Shawkat is pretty good too. She's really entertaining. Anyway, Max and her friends get stuck. They actually just go out to go watch a horror film. They're actually watching the movie that her mother was in, and although it's very uncomfortable, Max goes along, and through some magical realism or magical weirdness through Hollywood means, they get sucked into the film itself. What ends up happening is that they are in that giant slasher film. So what we're watching is a group of characters who have seen this film before, know what's going to happen, but still their movements and actions change with the algorithms of the movie itself, and change something that's scripted and turns it into basically a Dead by Dawn or Dead by Daylight video game sort of movie. And you root for you like all the characters. I mean, there are some dicky characters in here, but they're fun. So you see, she gets to share more time with her mother who's passed away, but her mother's in character, so it's not really her mother, even though physically it is her mother. It's her mother's character, Nancy, in this world that she's now in. And it's almost like she doesn't want to leave this world because, you know, when she leaves it, she will never see her mother again, supposedly. And it is it's a heartwarming film. It is funny. The only thing I didn't like about the film was there's a Jason Voorhees stand-in, the slasher character who's big, great physical look to him. I don't like his mask, because mask is made out of wood, and it seems like the only thing where they screwed up with this movie is the mask of the killer. Now I know that's not a giant thing in this type of film. It's supposed to be ironic and comedic, and the look of it is supposed to be a little bit off, but the mask is so like poorly made and just poorly designed that I wouldn't even believe that there's a franchise with this type of character in it, although there's been plenty of shitty movies with shitty masks in them. That's my only problem. That's my only problem really with this film. I think as a slasher, the gores are pretty cool. The kills in it are pretty awesome. The gore is good. It's actually pretty funny. I like the interactions between all the characters. I think the direction is solid. I think that the cinematography is really good. It's a fun movie, and it is actually a moving film because you have a character that has change in her reality and a change in her personality. Not a super change in her personality, but you get to see actual emotion coming from Tissa's, her acting as Max, her preoccupation with this character, and it feels fully developed. And even though there's a sort of hinting with like stock characters in here, I think they all serve their purpose. Even the stock characters from the film that they're in they're interesting and they're funny because they're these 2D characters that you have to also root for, even though you know most of them are going to be dead. And I liked it a lot. I think I remember even when I was walking, I walked past Manhattan a couple of times and I would see the poster for this film still up years and years after it was like come and gone into the theaters. It had a very small release. And I don't know if it's because companies don't believe in these films when they just release them. They put money into it, so you have to have some belief in it in the first place to put millions of dollars into a project like this. But it just kind of went, and it came and went. And unfortunately, that's what happened to this movie. But I think it's supposed to, have a second life streaming and stuff like that, which I appreciate. It's a movie really worth watching. I do not want to spoil it because it's a really fucking good movie. And it's high quality. There's a lot of crappy horror comedies that try to be funny, and this actually is funny, and it feels like a genuine love for the genre and for the humor that's put into it, which is very rare with these types of genre smashing horror films. A weird thing is there was a third sort of, not a film, but a manga called Final Girl, which is almost the same thing as this. It doesn't follow it beat for beat, but it has very similar aspects of a character that gets sucked into a horror film. It's a Japanese comic book about a character getting sucked into an American style horror film, and it even does one of the same gags where the opening credits are physically above another character. I mean, the ending credits. When a film ends and the ending credits come up, and sometimes in movies, instead of going to black, they'll just have the ending credits go up over the visual. And that same thing happens here, where it's like hovering over the people. And I thought it was a really interesting, weird thing. I don't know if maybe this manga ripped it off or something, or maybe there was just a fan of it, or if it was some sort of Japanese interpretation of the film itself because I mean the same name and something like that. But yeah, go check that manga out. It's pretty. It's good too. So it's funny. Kokikuji Yu is the author of that one. So, and apparently that comic came out 3 years ago, so obviously it was a long time after this film. But, or maybe that was just when it was released. I don't know when it came out in Japan. But yeah, so it was 3 sort of cool things that came out with the name Final Girl. So the Final Girl from 2015 with Abigail Breslin and Wes Bentley. The Final Girl is this one, and then there's also Final Girl, the manga. All completely unrelated, although 2 of them are a little bit similar to each other. But that's nice that 3 independent projects with the same name all came out like this, so it's cool. So I would give this a solid 7, just like Final Girl, a solid 7 out of 10, actually 7.5 out of 10. Going to see the movie and becoming the most realist actor of them all. And with that, this has been the Horror Deconstruction. Thank you for listening.